Okay. Alright, so this is Castlevania Lament of Innocence. This is a low optimization tool assisted demonstration. As you can see by the test, I am going to remake this. So, the beginning is going to be exactly what you would expect. Well, maybe not exactly. So, if you're familiar with Lament of Innocence speedruns, usually we buy the Jade Mask at the start of the game. However, in this, I'm not going to get the Jade Mask because I did this from a blank memory card. I just had it formatted because I had problems when I was trying to do that stuff with this game when I was doing saves, if I was overriding them. So ideally in that room I would have forced a Rosario drop off the first enemy, but I didn't want to force drops in this. So I do manipulate the RNG in some ways, but drops were not one of the ways I know how to manipulate the RNG for. In the menu I just scroll every frame. You have to go through that tutorial area at the start of the game. With Leon. You get a potion, a magical ticket, and a Sarvad statue out of it, which you're going to sell all the potions and the magical tickets so you can buy 2 memorial tickets. The reason you buy 2 is so you can immediately use one. We item duped them because we needed the money. I made a mistake when I was doing that shopping, when I was selling the potions, but I didn't fix it. I was actually supposed to sell all but one of the magical tickets there, so that was actually another mistake. I'm going to sell it in this shop trip instead. Because I was doing this from a blank memory card. I can't get the Jade Mask, which ultimately does lose time. Still starting with the Garden Forgotten by Time. Time for this. So here's where I lose quite a bit of time, because I need quite a few hearts actually, and to get the hearts the best thing you can do is jump and hit them on the way down. This room was, for what it wasn't awful, but basically I had to kill every skeleton one by one because they didn't spawn and group together. So it would have been more optimal if I would have seen if I could get more optimal spawn patterns for that room. Still going to get the ants, but can't run through the torch, so I have to destroy it some way. This is RNG manipulation to get the evil stabber to do what I wanted to do. Ideally, I would have manipulated an assassin's necklace drop off that as well. But like I said earlier, I didn't manipulate any of the drops. These gargoyles, there are 3 in this room. The first axes I threw killed 2 of them. That goes to the 3rd. Here I make a few mistakes because I do not actually like the default controls of this game. So, because in my mind, since I play Curse of Darkness more and use like the default controls in that game, the big attack button and the sub-weapon button in this game are reversed in my head for the defaults. I actually do want magic here. Here I didn't have enough. Because I didn't manipulate an assassin's necklace drop earlier, I should have gotten it there, but earlier would have been better. This room's quite slow for because I ran out of hearts. This hall, when you're in the air, you don't want to hit enemies. It stalls your movement in the air. Gargoyle with the axes, the skeleton archers you can just kill with the Sarvod statue. However, another thing the Sarvod statue does is let you walk through the torches, and I was a bit short on hearts again, so that just kind of worked out perfectly for that, as long as I got more magic. We want to go up here because we get one of the most broken items in the game with item duplication, Jewel Crush, which is an accessory that lets you use the powers of the jewels. So we're going to equip that. Use the diamond there, restores the magic and hearts. I need the hearts more. Then we just have some more hallways. So, the sapphires, deal damage to everything on screen. The rubies deal damage to everything in the room. So we're just going to use a combination of them. In a few places when I was making this, lag was really bad, so after using the second sapphire in that room, it really didn't want to let me use the third. There's almost definitely a better that I've attached to destroy that statue. I'm just not sure what they are. I did manipulate the RNG in this Medusa fight because in this Medusa fight, theoretically, if you get a good enough pattern, you can get a very high combo with it. At the end there, I couldn't. The Ruby does enough damage to finish the boss there. That was a like 56 hit combo that did around 2070 damage. And her HP is, I believe, 2000. I ended up the gems again going into this area because I need almost all of them. Now, I had to redo everything from that door onwards in this area, so the quality of this area is not as good as I initially had it. And I think the problem is I opened that door like first frame when I initially did it, which I think caused the desync. In that room, I should have used a ruby to kill the last two enemies instead of Axe Tornado. So that's another mistake. As long as you walk far enough through that room, one ruby will kill all the enemies. In this room, I made sure I get the Ted spot skip, because usually once you've hit the levers far enough, you get 8 Ted spots saying what they did. However, you can leave the room before it happens and you won't see the Ted spots. I also used a turquoise to switch the sub-weapon from the axe to the cross. Unfortunately, the enemies in this area didn't really cooperate in order to do damage boost. This is another laggy room, especially when you use the Michael sword, the purple cross move. It Lad demon later a lot. I think in theory, if the cycle of these is good, you can just run straight through. But I just got hit by the first one, so I could run through the rest of them. You need to switch the real-time window back to the memorial ticket for the upcoming set skip, because we want to memorial ticket out of the room instead of use the door. So that's why the attacks are different. The first one was 553, the second one was 355. I actually don't need more sapphires for the next area, so I didn't dupe them. One ruby, I'm pretty sure, doesn't kill the demon enemy in that room, which is why I've used the sub-weapon. In the upcoming room, not all the enemies are spawned to start with. And you just need to do an attack on the fisherman, so one ruby will kill all of them. This is another. When I first did the room with the thing swinging back and forth, I could just run through them. So I don't know if those are on like a global timer or if they are specific to when you enter the room and are random. I didn't thoroughly test that to check it. Here's the next boss, which has this really nice one cycle strat here. If he stays in place and does like 2 attacks, if you use rubies fast enough in certain combos, you can kill the boss pretty quickly. You have to leave this boss room to use the memorial ticket. I used another turquoise to switch back to the gats. Now we have the green orb, so we can use high-speed edge. Now we're going to the Anti-Souls Mysteries lab. I wanted to switch the real-time window to the first thing I was going to need, which happened to be the sapphires. I'm sure a ton of my high-speed edges were not optimal. Here's another room where we kill everything with sapphires. Okay, so the attacking the door is a mistake. It was because I tried to open it before it was finished. So I don't think that sapphire was required. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. So that's another small mistake. I did need to walk a little bit to use high speed edge the way I want to in this area. So we grab the yellow dragon key in this area. It will let us get another relic later on. So you can either run or use one high-speed edge in this room if you jump down. I don't know which is actually faster. The slight pause there is because I was going to jump up to the nuts platform other than the one I jumped on, but that jump was being difficult and I just ultimately decided not to do it and didn't load the save state far enough back to fix the mistake. Here's another place where I'm not sure run or high speed edge, because ultimately I am going to have to use another diamond for hearts. Here's another mistake from pressing the wrong thing. So for that turquoise there, I was actually going to use it immediately once high speed edge ends it. However, that didn't give me the right sub weapon, which means I had to wait for a few frames after then to use it, such that it would be on the right RNG value. Golem here is, I think the cross can double hit him, but I didn't do that. So I probably could have made this fight a little bit better. Here I lost like 2 frames because I didn't switch the real-time window to the memorial ticket before I grabbed the orb. I do have to undo all of my gems back before going to the House of Sacred Remains, because I'm going to use basically all of them. I do have to have at least one item dupe it though, so there's probably a faster way to do those skeletons than to use high speed edge through them. The archer again can be killed with the Sarvat statue while we're waiting on other enemies to spawn. we need the rubies later, so we have to save those for later. In the upcoming room, the strat for this room is to use spiral apps. The enemy despawning is what we have to wait on. There's a Rosario drop that's not very useful at all, considering I just one rubied all the enemies to death. In this room, I didn't wait long enough for one enemy to spawn, and I did get a Rosario drop, so I just took the Rosario drop instead of redoing the room. It's a mistake either way. I ran through that room. I think you could use high-speed edge to go through it, but I'm not sure if the enemies spawn quickly enough if you do. Do that one ruby will instantly kill them. I ran out of heart, so I just ran through that room. I'm not sure if I should have jumped over the thing or not. Or if taking the hit was faster. Here I was trying to use high-speed edge, but I'm not sure if I should delayed it and jumped over the thing, or just ran to the end. So the sub-weapon torch there is the holy water, which, other than the hats we got like in the garden, I don't think we break any of the other sub-weapon torches. So we get the Black Bishop, which is the reason why we grabbed the yellow key. It's mainly going to be useful for bosses, but there are some other uses for it too. I actually went too fast here and got hit by the spikes coming up that you run behind. I'm sure my diamond uses were not the most optimal either. There's another useless Rosario. The spiral apps was intended, it just wasn't used too quickly. I didn't frame advance going through these units with the lips, so they probably have room for optimization. Because I didn't use a ruby someplace where I think I was supposed to, I had an extra one for that room. The strat for this room is just run. If you start running right at the start of the room, you can just run directly. For the boss we need the holy water. For the eyes we use cross blazer. We can just kill the eyes in 3 hits with cross blazer. Despite the fact I got hit there, but it really doesn't matter because I had to wait for the thing to go back into the walls anyway. And we can really quickly kill the boss there. Being in the air when this cutscene starts doesn't matter because it will put you on the ground. Also, to grab all the orbs, I've been doing 1-frame jumps, which give you the lowest possible height because you need to land to use the memorial ticket. The last area we can enter is the Ghostly Theater. So this laser here stops firing when you're facing the direction towards it. So the skeleton type enemies in that room, you can sapphire, which will do the first, or you can ruby, which would do the first. The ruby kills all the other enemies in the room though, so it's ruby, sapphire, and then the last one's the second time was with high speed edge. Here, if you get hit by the spikes, you can kind of walk through them. Because I don't want to go super on my way to deal with enemies, I can use gem there. This room is, I had to redo this room and everything past it because my initial was because I initially used rubies and I realized I couldn't do that because I needed one later one. So I went back and redid it with sapphires. This room you could theoretically do with sapphires. It's just a little bit slower because you have to wait for the spirits to spawn. You can skip a fair few of the platforms in this dark room if you know which way to jump. I pause on the platforms, which is not optimal. I should have used the other sapphire in that room, or the next one. Here I start by walking in this room, because if I start by running, I'll run directly into the laser, which is bad. I don't want that, so I have to delay starting to run. I landed in kind of a bad spot, which is why I got hit by the enemy there. I tried to take something acceptable for Succubus. I decided this was okay. It could have been faster, but it also could have been significantly slower. That rewards us with the yellow orb. I don't know if I should have used high-speed edge walking towards the orb or not. Then we get to see all the orb cutscenes back to back to back to back to back, which is slightly faster. Than watching them individually. Here I did high-speed edge and latch onto the railing. I don't know if high-speed edge up the stairs is better or not. Here I could grab a sub-weapon in this room, but instead I item dip a turquoise, because I need one more if I'm going to item dip it. The room with the lasers there is as an opposite you want to run to start with. So here I use Grand Cross, and I had two options for this fight. I could either use Grand Cross or Satellite. If I would have gotten Assassin's Necklace, I would have used Satellite. If you're item duping in that spot, you should probably use Satellite. I wanted to get rid of the Sapphire. Also, that was the last turquoise I used. Is the last one I had, and we're back to the axe. So the axe is going to be used the rest of the game. I need my magic back to use 3 rubies for the enemies in that room. You can use high-speed edge right as you enter this room, and you'll be further in the room when the cutscene starts. Then we're going to make another save, because we're going to need to come back to this area a couple times. And so instead of running back, we can just use memorial tickets. I didn't need to add it there. Here you see me losing time to turning Black Bishop off. I should have left it on because here maybe not. If I could make it into this room and still have enough time left to kill the enemies before it runs out. Now I shouldn't have turned it off. I shouldn't have turned it off here. Here I'm using diamond anyway, and unless it wouldn't have been off by the time I added it. Now we have the 6 tablet, and we now need to change the 6 tablet into the 4 tablet. Now with the 4 tablet, we get to go back to where we were. There are no enemies this time though, so as long as we go the same way, there's no enemies this time. That you have to fight. There are dew points all over the Pagoda of Misty Moon, so I didn't need to dupe the diamonds there. It wasted a little bit of time to do so. So actually, then we use our last memorial ticket, and we start heading to the final boss. So, right before the boss door, I make a mistake because I need high speed edge one more time before the boss, and then using Spirit Ripper and a combination of attacks, you can do a 1 cycle as long as he doesn't teleport. I needed to use the diamond there to get magic back. And now I want to get the highest possible combo I can on death. And I also want him to do this attack again so I can get another as high possible combo as I can get. Then because I end up in a position where I could, I should just finish him off with the rubies. So there were actually quite a few mistakes in this, and plus I didn't manipulate the RNG to the point. didn't manipulate the RNG to do things completely optimally. So I clearly lose time to not having the Jaden mask. That's at least a few seconds. I didn't manipulate an assassin's necklace drop. That's several seconds. It would save me time on Medusa, Death mainly, and a few other places, but those are the main ones. Then there's quite a few places where there's really simple mistakes. He didn't manipulate enemy spawns in places, so that lost time. I didn't manipulate my enemies to damage boost me in dark paths waterfalls, that lost time. Like I said, I didn't make sure all my high speed edges were perfectly optimal, so that lost time. So there's a lot of stuff to improve on this, but I just wanted to see what it'd be like if I were to make one. That's all I have for you for the moment. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.